Hey everybody, welcome back to theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Again, it's theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Thank you for watching. Keep sending your questions. It's Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com. You can also call or text 949-415-6256. I will do my best to get back to all of you guys, and if the question's good, I'll do a video. And if it's not so good, I'll just reply to you privately. Alright, and the best part is I'll keep you anonymous unless you specifically ask me to mention your name. So today's question is all about Phase 1B studies and business questions revolving around Phase 1B studies, which are essentially proof of concept studies. So they want to learn how the disease transpires in someone. Usually they're looking at people with biomarkers, or they're looking at some kind of clinical outcomes to prove a hypothesis of how the disease functions in the target population of patients who actually have the medical condition or disease that they're developing the study drug for, right? So phase 1 studies are healthy volunteers. Phase 1B studies typically enroll the actual patients that the drug is supposed to target, and it's proof of concept studies. So you generally enroll a lot less people, a lot fewer people in phase 1B studies than you would even in a phase 1 study, and especially less than you would in a phase 2, 3, and 4 trials. Alright, so here's the question. We have a lot of phase 3 and 2 expertise. We were recently approached by a niche drug company for 3 patients for 6 months of an oral drug on a phase 1B study. Any advice on budget, recruitment, conduct, or other pain points unique for phase 1B studies? Like the 5 top special points in 5 minutes, what would they be? Well, thanks for asking. Since I'm a businessman, alright, my number 1 topic would be the budget, right? Specifically, when it comes to the budget, how much are you going to get for every bed day? And how many bed days are involved in this trial? Is it a 6 months inpatient study? I really doubt that. I would assume it'd be more like a few weeks inpatient, and then it becomes an outpatient study. So whatever it is, you got to figure it out. Obviously, the more bed days you have, the more money you can make, the more profit you can make in this study. That's number 1. Number 2, once you figure that out, figure out where you're actually going to do this study. So are you contracting with a hospital? I wouldn't recommend that. Number 1, they charge a lot. Number 2, their staff tend to complicate things and get in the way, and that leads to a lot of protocol deviations, a lot of nightmares. What I would do is set up a contract with a nursing home or some kind of assisted living facility where you can rent some rooms or some beds, or maybe you have your own clinic and you don't need to worry about that. But I would still look at that and then look at how much you're paying for the overnight stay, including all the staff you're going to need, and then triple that for what you're going to be billing the sponsors for an overnight stay. Alright, that's where you're going to make all your profit, and that's where the longer the inpatient stay is required, meaning the more weeks or the more days you can accumulate in this study, the better the study will be. So if it's a study that only has like a 2-night inpatient stay and the rest of the 6 months are all outpatient visit, that's not as attractive to me as something that would be 4 weeks of inpatient stay or 6 weeks of inpatient stay, because now I can make a lot more profit from that. I would look at the staffing requirements needed. So for these overnight stays, sometimes the sponsor requires an MD to be present 24 hours. Sometimes they're okay with an RN or a nurse practitioner. Look into that, ask the sponsor that question. Then, how are you going to find the studies? So unlike a healthy volunteer study, where you can pretty much entice people to join with money, because that's the only benefit of doing a phase 1 study, if you're a healthy volunteer, is getting money. For phase 1B, you're only allowed to enroll 3 patients. So you got to be very selective about who you're enrolling. I have no idea what the indication is. It may be tough to find them. So how are you going to get these patients? And then how are you going to propose the benefits of joining a study to them? A phase 1B study, basically just a proof of concept study. They're not going to get any real medical benefit out of it, or maybe they will. I mean, I don't know the study details. So that will be the next challenge. Does your PI have a database that you can enroll these patients from? If not, it may not be worth your time. And if not, how else are you going to find study participants for this particular trial? And as far as the budget goes, I mean, I would not, personally, I wouldn't take this study if it was any less than 7 days inpatient stay. Because it's a 6 month trial for something that looks kind of complicated. The only benefit, the only way I do this study is if it's at least a week of inpatient stay, because then I at least know it's going to be somewhat profitable for me. Um, and as far as checks from the sponsor, your second question was, do you take checks from the sponsor or direct deposit? I prefer direct deposit. Number one, you get it faster. Number two, you don't have to wait for it in the mail. Number three, it doesn't potentially get lost in the mail. Direct deposit whenever available is the best option. So that's my thoughts on phase 1B studies and how to get paid from sponsors. Let me know if this helps. I don't know if I did top 5 pain points, but the pain points I did talk about are pretty important. All right. Dan from theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Take care.